G'day guys, welcome to Jam Time with the King. So A Moon-Shaped Pool is a fresh new album from the classic art rock band Radiohead, and fuck is it brilliant. So the hype of this album, despite being massive on social media, has been a very sudden topic of discussion, with the first single Burn the Rich being released just over a week ago on the 3rd of May, and then on the 8th, just like that, the album was dropped online. Now, I'm personally a fan of this method of marketing, because I think it helps keep the hype fresh by not giving any rest time for people to get over it. If it's a few months or more between the announcement and the actual release date, then people could easily get over it before the album even drops. I feel like this way it keeps everyone keen and it keeps it fresh in their mind and makes them want to buy it sooner. However, the release method has no resemblance to the actual pace of the album, with the 11 tracks clocking to just over 52 minutes. And unlike most long albums that seem to flash before your eyes, this one will sit with you, pull at your emotions, and really drag you down into despair of Tom York's lyrical themes. Now, some people are probably already turned off by the sound of that, and by all means, I don't blame them. This album is definitely not for the faint-hearted music fan. This album is a slow, haunting, hard-to-swallow piece of art, and as much as it speaks to me, I'm sure many other patient and mellow musos it would, it definitely is not a move commercial music listeners will understand, and even though they may enjoy it, they might not enjoy it as much as their earlier, more grunge work. So the album starts off with the first release single of the album, Burn the Witch, and man does that track give a good introduction to the next 50 minutes of haunting discovery. While this is one of the most upbeat tracks on the record, it still keeps a very eerie and beautiful atmosphere with plenty of mystery. The standout of this track for me is definitely the orchestral strings that keep a really steady and shrieking pace to the track from the beginning to the end. Now the second track, Daydreaming, was the second other single which they released before the album dropped, and so far in my few listens of the album, it is probably my favourite track. The beauty of the minimalistic, soothing and unsettling piano notes, Tom's unstable and emotional vocal performance, and the haunting samples and audio effects throughout the track, as well as sharp string sections towards the end of the track. It really gives you the feel that you're listening to a somewhat distorted portrayal of paradise. Like, it's almost beautiful, but there's something keeping it from getting to that point, something keeping it almost synthetic. Now, the fifth track, titled Full Stop, would probably have to be the darkest and the most unnerving track on the album. With shrieking samples, sharp guitar work, and the fast, tight drumming throughout the whole track, it makes one of the more upbeat, but probably the most unsettling chapter of the record. So another few tracks which called out to me was a short and sweet following track, Glass Eyes, and also the album's finale, True Love Waits. So Glass Eyes, despite being the shortest track on the record, expels so much emotion in its short length of under 3 minutes. Whether it be the orchestral strings taking the precedence over the track, or the beautiful heart-wrenching vocal melodies from Tom, it definitely is one of the most depressing and woeful tracks on the album, and it will definitely bring you down to one of your lowest points for what is technically the halfway point of the record. Now, the last track, True Love Waits, is one of the more straightforward tracks instrument-wise, with a 4.5-minute finale featuring only piano and vocals. But despite its simplicity, I find the atmosphere almost personal and familiar, with confronting and honest lyrics such as "I'll drown my beliefs to have your babies, I'll dress like your niece and wash your swollen feet, just don't leave." Now, I find these lyrics to be some of the strongest on the album and really hits a spot in probably almost everyone's hearts where they've tried to bargain with someone that they love to stay and not leave. Now, I wish I could go deep into detail about every single track on this thought-provoking record, but time is of the essence, and as beautiful as each of every track on this record is, I just chose a few of the standout tracks for me so I could keep it brief. So as you can probably tell, I absolutely adored this album, and as a very new fan of Radiohead, I can safely say that you don't need to be a die-hard fan to appreciate this album. You just need a lot of patience and attention to detail, and just a vivid imagination to complement the emotive tracks. So I strongly recommend checking this out if you're a fan of melancholy alt-rock, or even ambience and drone listeners might even find something to appreciate in this record. This album definitely gets a 9 out of 10. Alright guys, so thanks for checking out my first album review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more music and movie reviews over the next few weeks, especially the new X-Men which comes out next week in Australia, which I'll definitely be seeing and doing a review of. So stay tuned, I'll see you guys later.